We suddenly talk about that, this is priceless because
engage in a sort of molecular conversation with the fetal cells.
People are starting to become interested in the idea of eating insects, not only in terms of
just the most perfect example of the beauty of Cambridge.
My name is Tega Akati-Udi. I go to King's. I'm a third-year economist. So I was born in Nigeria, born and raised there. And then when I was 13, I moved to the Netherlands with my family. So my dad's job moved him there. So I became like an expat, joined like the international community in Holland. And 2 years ago, moved to Cambridge to start university here. I applied all over the place. So one thing about like being brought up in a place and then moving from Nigeria to Holland is that you kind of feel international, not really bound by any like one country. So I wanted to just see the world. So I applied to America, here, and Holland. And yeah, picking like different universities. I just wanted to go for like the best and see what would happen. So I remember getting my interview for Cambridge and being like, oh my God. And I got my offer and being like, oh my God, it's real. So I had never been to Cambridge before my interview. When I arrived from my interview, I arrived at night and then I left in the morning, so I really had no idea what King's was like before actually moving here. When I picked King's, I picked it based on interviews, so I thought like King's interview was like the best fit for me. And I think I narrowed it down to like 2 or 3 colleges, and then I saw that King's had a 24/7 library, so I was like, okay, King's is for me, yeah. I actually arrived at King's quite late into Freshers Week because I had some visa issues. But when I arrived, I remember coming into the bar and there were like all freshers just waiting in the bar, and everyone was like, Tega, because like everyone knew I was late and everyone was like being so supportive, like we're getting this done for you and this. So it was so welcoming right from the beginning, and like I felt like everyone knew me from the beginning because they knew, oh, Tega hasn't come yet, she hasn't arrived yet. So it was like welcoming and great, yeah. Yes, I feel like King's is very international in the sense that, one, you'll always find people like you here, so you'll find like your people, but then 2, it's international enough that you'll meet different cultures as well. So that's why I like King's, because you feel at home, but then it's also enough to kind of like take you outside your comfort zone, meet different cultures, people from all over the world, and that's what I really love about King's, that international feel, yeah. So economics in general, I only decided to study economics in sixth form. Before I wanted to be an engineer, which is quite a big change. And a lot of it has to do with my international background. So growing up in Nigeria, moving to Holland. And when you move, it's a bit of a culture shock. And you see different like living styles, living standards. And I think economics was the one for me because right from a young age, I started questioning, why? Why do we have poor countries? Why do we have rich countries? And I love my course because I can see that since I came and I arrived in Cambridge, I have grown. So when I first applied, writing my personal statement, it was almost a bit naive ambition to wanting to change the world. And then now in Cambridge, just learning about the mechanisms behind all the big questions I had. And I still have questions. I probably will still have questions till like the day I die. But I love that Cambridge just kind of like opened that, and now my view is completely different. The same in many ways, but different as well. And I think the course has been really great in helping me just like ask those questions, yeah. So in first year you have 5 papers, micro, macro, which are the basic ones, maths and stats, history and politics. And then in second year you get to pick one option. Third year you get to pick 2 options, and you have a dissertation as well. So I remember when I first came, I was a bit annoyed I couldn't pick an option from first year. I had to do everything. I had to do economic history, which I didn't like. But I think in third year, I'm starting to see how everything kind of fits into one. why knowing about the Industrial Revolution is relevant for like now, and why I had to study some things that I did study. And I'm quite grateful that from the beginning I wasn't allowed to choose and I had to do like kind of like a broad introduction to economics. So my course is taught in lectures and supervisions. We don't have as many contact hours as like medics or sciencey people. You have a few lectures a week, and then we have about 2 supervisions every week. And I love supervision. So before I came to Cambridge, I knew that supervision would be the one for me, because all my friends back in school were like, Cambridge is the best one for you because you always have so many questions. I remember coming to like class in school and I'd have like a list of questions and the teacher would have to be like, Tega, not you, someone else. So I love a supervision because you can ask questions and like you can feel yourself learning. Like you leave a supervision with so much different knowledge like than when you came in, and I just love that part. I love that it's with fewer people, but you can also learn not just from the teacher or the tutor, but also from your students around you. Yeah. Yes, definitely. So I get to pick 2 options, which gives me a lot of leeway in deciding what I want to do. But then also your dissertation is like your own baby. It's your own idea. You get support from like professors and the faculty, and you just get to build it up yourself. And it's quite exciting. It can be scary as well, but being able to kind of put your ideas on paper, do your own research, and just see, like, apply the knowledge you've learned. It's like, has been bursting out of my brain. Like, I want to answer these questions, and now you get to actually try and like tackle it yourself. It's actually quite exciting. So I'm going to be modeling healthcare demand in Nigeria for my dissertation. So I got inspired by my summer in Nigeria where I was working. And basically, the basic idea is to determine how your income, education level, your trust in Western medicine affects your demand for like a mosquito net. So quite basic, but hopefully it works out, yeah. So actually I'm quite interested in the trust aspect. So trust is a relatively new thing in economics. Going back home to Nigeria, not home Holland, I just realized that actually quite a few Nigerians, trust levels are a bit different in Nigeria. So there's a lot of traffic in Lagos, Nigeria. So if someone says we have a meeting by this time, no one expects you to actually be there at that time. And it's like things we take for granted here actually have an effect in Nigeria. So I'm actually quite interested to see about trust in Western medicine. So things like mosquito nets, vaccinations have to do a lot with like how you view Western medicine. And you know, there's a lot of like local alternatives. So I'm actually quite interested to see how that affects what people go for, yeah. So education is quite important. The more educated you are, Western formal education, the more likely you are to trust Western medicine. Things like vaccinations are quite interesting because you never see the effect of a vaccination, in that you still get ill after being immunized. So if you're not educated to understand that that's not the way it works, you think, oh, it was pointless, there's no point. And also vaccinations, you need enough people in the population to actually have been like immunized for it to actually properly work. So if you're not properly educated about the way things like vaccinations work, you might not understand. So education is quite important. I actually read a quite interesting paper that said that colonialism and slave trade also affect your trust. So in areas where there was more like a strong colonial influence, where they were forced to use like Western medicine, those places now today have like lower trust in Western medicine, which I think is quite interesting. I have a few ideas. So I know for sure I want to do a master's. I want like 1 more year of student discount. Yeah, I love learning. Learning at Cambridge has been great, and I want to pursue that even further. PhD, I'm not so sure about just now, but I know I want to do a master's. Beyond that, I'm not quite sure. I know I love economic research, and I want to do a job that helps me channel my love for that. If I can do it in developing countries, that'll be even better. If I can do it in Nigeria, that'd be even more amazing. Yeah. First year and second year, I was quite heavily involved in the African Caribbean Society. I was events officer last year, which was great. It's quite a heavy role, but it was amazing to be involved in organizing our Black History Month formal, our annual ACS affair, like our ball. And it was just great to see the influence you have building a strong African Caribbean community in Cambridge. I was also, and still am, Ethnic Minorities Officer in King's Student Union, which has been so amazing. The one thing that I'm really proud of was the BME Open Day that happened last year. That was the first one we've had in King's, and we're gonna have even more. And it was just amazing to see and to just hear people after come up to you and say, thank you for this. This has really kind of inspired me to apply. And now I know that I don't have, there's no limits to what I can achieve. And the effect you have on people when you don't even know, like just existing as a BME student in Cambridge has so much influence that you don't even think about. And I'm so glad I was able to be a part of that. This year I'm still a BME officer just for a little while, and then I'll hand over. And I'm also on the Cambridge Homeless Outreach Program as Charities Coordinator. I also do a bit of stuff outside Cambridge, like the university, like in Cambridge. So I'm a local volunteer for Jimmy's Homeless Shelter. I think it's a great way to just break that Cambridge bubble because you get to meet like actual locals in Cambridge, families, and you get to see how people who actually live here are fighting things like homelessness, which is a big problem here. So I think the purpose of the open day, we have open days at King's. I think the purpose was to target people from like a lower socioeconomic status. So we had things like we reimbursed transport, kind of schools we targeted and things like that. It was specifically BME, but BME covers quite a wide range. So it's not just Black, Asian people, it's also mixed race people, it's Latina people, and it's also like religious minorities like Jewish people, which is what people usually forget. So it was quite targeted at a wide range of people. And I think the aim was just to get people to understand the sense of what it is to be at King's. So we had a tour of King's, they were able to speak to tutors and also students. So it was just a like wide range of different things, yeah. Very, very. It was the first BME Open Day, but it was such a huge success. And I remember being so emotional on the day because a lot of people come to you, not just students, their parents as well. And yeah, to think that just one person, just me. I mean, there are a lot of people involved, but like to think that you had a part in this and that your influence goes beyond what you think blows my mind, really, yeah. I think it's important to just know that these people exist. So I remember before I came to Cambridge, I was quite worried about how international it was going to be because growing up in Holland, I was surrounded by a quite international community. I went to an international school, my friends were international. So breaking out of that bubble was quite scary for me. But then I came here and I realized actually there's quite a strong international community here. I think a lot of people don't know that there is a variety of backgrounds, cultures, like economic statuses in King's, in Cambridge. And I think it's important to just show that you exist, but not just show that we exist, but to show that like there are BME people here who are surviving, but also thriving here, who are having a great time. I know there are issues and we should talk about those issues, but also to say that it is possible to come here and have a good time, to learn so much, and then to go beyond that and just impact your community for good after. So personally, my opinion is that there's a lot that is going on, access-wise, but I feel like quite a lot that's going on is student-led. So the university will join in, but it's not necessarily that the university will be the one to like take initiative and make the first step. It's different in King's. It's quite different because the college is actually quite involved in issues of unconscious bias access. So the BME Open Day, I was only a part of it. I wasn't the one who like had to organize every single thing. I worked quite closely with admissions office, with the provost, and the college that was actually quite involved. But I feel like sometimes some issues, it's mainly like if the students that led them were not here, then they wouldn't really happen. And I feel like that's the next step the university has to take initiative. Working with students, yeah, that's very important, but also to just show that like we're not just here to come and talk about the results of what you've already done, but we're coming to kind of help you work up to that. Yeah. What I think the university needs to do to help students actually apply is things like the BME Open Day. So I know a lot of people came up to me after saying, I'm actually going to apply now, which is what we need people to do. Also, I think working with schools is very important. We don't understand the impact a teacher can have on their students. So, you know, the kind of perception of Cambridge is not always positive, even for teachers. And if your teacher doesn't think that there's a place for you in Cambridge, then it's kind of hard for you to believe the same for yourself. I think working with schools is very important, not just the students in schools, but also teachers in schools. I think that would really help, just kind of pushing for applications, yeah. I think one thing, culture-wise, it's great to have a lot of diverse cultures because you get to learn so much just from being surrounded by people who are different to you. I love Cambridge because a lot of my learning here has not been restricted to just the classroom or just to conversations with professors. I've actually learned a lot just from conversations with students here, my peers, friends, and it's actually great how, you know, you get to see the world in a different way from different set of eyes, and it's almost like traveling to a different place without actually leaving King's because you get to experience different people's cultures. I don't think people understand fully the importance of just knowing different people, people who will challenge you, who you can learn from, conversations that, you know, you think about for months, years after it happens. Yeah, I don't think people really understand the importance of things like that. I am most proud of being able to help plan the BME Open Day. I can't stress it enough how much that day meant to me and means to me now as well. Being able to just, you know, if it means that I just helped one student, convince that student that, you know, you can apply to Cambridge, there's a place for you here, there's a place for you at King's, then that's good enough for me in my whole 3 years here, you know, and that being able to just, you know, help plan that day, speak to students, that is what I'm most proud of in my time here. I love King's, yeah. It's quite international. I've made the most amazing friendships here. And even like the college itself, so being on KCSU, being Ethnic Minorities Officer, you get to interact with a lot of like college authorities, so kind of like big names. And realizing that those people are actually here to help make your time better. Sometimes it might not seem that way, but being in KCSU and having that kind of in has made me realize that, you know, King's is such a welcoming community and they're always trying to do better by their students, yeah. So if I was speaking to someone similar background as me who was thinking of applying to King's, I'd be like, go for it, apply. Just because you deserve the best and you're capable of the best. And if you don't get in, it doesn't say anything about you. You know, you can thrive in any other university, but you shouldn't deny yourself of being one of the best universities in the world, yeah.